Howdy, everybody, and a very pleasant game day to you wherever you may be, whether you're in Aggie land across the state of Texas or you've made the trip to South Bend, Indiana. Welcome into the TexAgs Tailgate Show. Another fantastic day of college football is moving from that late afternoon window into the evening window, and one of the marquee primetime matchups this week features the 16th ranked fighting Texas Aggies as they hit the road to face number 8 Notre Dame at the historic house that Rockne built. That's Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend, Indiana. Texas A&M is 2-0, and this is really their first true test. They're taking on a top 10 foe, and if you haven't heard by now, Texas A&M is desperately searching to end what is a 14-game losing streak in true road games against ranked opponents. The last time they beat a ranked team on the road was November the 8th, 2014. A&M beat number 8 Auburn at Jordan-Hare Stadium, 41-38 in that one. It featured a Myles Garrett blocked field goal. DeShazer Everett returned it for a touchdown. Last year, Mike Elko's Aggies faced this Notre Dame team. They also put an end to a 10-game road slide in all matchups. That was, ironically, a Week 3 victory over Florida. Howdy, everybody. I'm Richard Zane. As I said earlier, this is the TexAgs Tailgate Show. It is brought to you by our friends at Duck Camp. And over the next 30 minutes, with about 90 minutes, about an hour 45, actually, the kickoff's going to be closer to 6:44 Central Time. But over the next 30 minutes, this show is going to get you set for Texas A&M at Notre Dame. Here's what you can expect. In just a couple of moments, we are going to go to David Nuno, the TexAgs Director of Broadcast Media. He is perched high atop Notre Dame Stadium in South Bend. We're going to get a weather update from him. We're going to hear all about their travel excursions and hopefully an early morning workout. If you caught the TexAgs on-site video last night, you know him and OB got a late night workout in. Later on, after we're done talking with Poppy, we're going to give you some players to watch. We're going to give you an update on some Prize Picks player lines. We're going to check in on games around the country, and we're also going to give you some predictions for this one. We're just moments away from chatting with David Nuno, but first we got to pay some bills. Again, a ton of appreciation to our friends at Duck Camp for sponsoring the TexAgs Tailgate Show. Whether you're chasing birds at sunrise, casting lines from the bow, or sweating it out during a scorcher at Kyle Field, or what looks to be a pleasant evening in South Bend, Indiana, Duck Camp has the gear to keep you cool, comfortable, and looking sharp no matter where the day takes you. This is performance-driven outdoor apparel made for the blind, the boat, and even those early Aggie football games where the only thing hotter than the seats is the scoreboard. Here's what's in the current lineup. The lightweight performance hoodie. It's breathable, quick-drying, and made to battle that 100-degree kickoff heat. The scout shorts, tough enough for the hunt, stylish enough for the post-game beers. An essential hoodie, so soft and comfortable you might decide to sleep in it. The lightweight fishing shirt, it's built for the flats, but clean enough for the tailgate. So whether you're gearing up for a hunt, a fishing trip, or trying to survive those September kickoffs in Aggieland, Duck Camp has you covered. Check it all out at duckcamp.com. Built for the outdoors, designed for everything else. And now, as I said, it is time to go out live to South Bend, Indiana. David Nuno, he's inside the historic house that Rockne built, Notre Dame Stadium. David, how are we this afternoon?
Richard, we're doing fantastic. It's a very fall day here in South Bend, Indiana. And I'm going to tell you, I will not be surprised if 30% of this stadium here at Notre Dame Stadium is a bunch of Aggies, because I've seen a lot of maroon and white, maybe a little bit of green. And we can get into that at another point, because Olin accidentally packed the green sweater, but he took it off. We're good. We're good. But anyway, we're here having a good old time because the weather is great. And I don't know if you guys saw the video that I posted of when A&M arrived. You know, like my TV background, sometimes we look for things that are sometimes dumb. I looked for something, and I don't think it was dumb. I saw focus and the team walking in, from Coach Elko to Marcel Reed to Marjay Reed-Adams to Mario Craver, you name it. Those guys came in very locked and loaded and very focused to play. So I'm looking forward to seeing this version of the Aggies tonight here in South Bend.
Now, I know you guys flew from the state of Texas into Chicago yesterday afternoon, landed in the evening. It seems like a ton of Aggies have made the trip. I've already seen pictures. It looks like there's a ton of maroon in South Bend. We saw yesterday afternoon, it seemed like an A&M takeover at Wrigley Field, complete with the war hymn over the organ. That was incredible. What can you tell us about the atmosphere outside and everything that goes along with the tradition, the pomp and circumstance that comes with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish football Saturday?
All right, for me, a road trip's only good if A&M wins, right? I think we all can agree with that. All other road trips suck when the Aggies don't win. That being said, Alabama-Tuscaloosa a couple years back, the game that they had a chance to win on the last possession, the Haynes team pass to Evan Stewart, it was no good. That atmosphere in Tuscaloosa was probably the best that I've been around. Pre-game festivity, Tennessee was very good as well. Notre Dame's in that same level, guys. Like, I really enjoyed my walk around campus today. We went to a tailgate with Olin. It was fantastic. Very nice Notre Dame fans. And as I mentioned, a lot of maroon everywhere, but just a cool vibe here. And I think the weather fits football, right? It's not, look, I don't mind when it gets cold, but this is like the perfect kind of fall vibe to it. The leaves are green, turning their different colors. It's really nice.
If I wasn't jealous before, I'm very jealous now. I'm wearing my little long sleeve sweater, but it is not sweater weather outside in College Station. David, let's talk about the actual football. Obviously, it's a top 20 matchup, 16 versus 8. Notre Dame's 0-1 after losing to Miami. A&M hasn't played anybody of note just yet. We're going to learn a lot about these two teams. So as it relates to the unknown for both clubs, what are you hoping to have answered today?
Look, I just want to hope that the defense that we have seen since after the first play of the second half against UTSA is the defense we get against Notre Dame. Now, do I expect them to shut down Notre Dame the way the Aggies were able to do Utah State and UTSA? No, I don't expect that. But I think that level of defense, that level of commitment, that level to stop a lethal running attack, to me, is going to be very important in the Aggies' long-term success. You look at the schedule now, and the games that you thought were supposed to be the easier ones might be some of the harder ones. And then you look at some of the games that might be your harder ones. Are they really going to be as hard? I think it's just what we've been talking about all offseason heading into this game or into the season is that there's not a lot of difference from your tier 2 team, your tier 1 team, and now the tier 3 team that's kind of merged their way into the tier 2 teams. So I think that's one of the things I'm really looking at is how dominant can A&M's defense be against a team that has cut their teeth running the ball? Can A&M take advantage of this offensive line that really defeated A&M's awesome defensive line last year? They had some struggles a couple weeks back against Miami. Can A&M make life hard on CJ Carr, a guy who struggled on his play action, a guy that struggled on when he faced the rush, a guy that really struggled on the RPO because many times he kept the ball instead of giving it to Jeremiah Love. Are we going to get that version of CJ Carr, and are we going to get that level of defense from A&M to make life hard on him?
Heard so much about the Notre Dame running attack, right? CJ Carr can beat you with his legs, but really it's the running backs, Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price. Saw what they did to the Aggies last year at Kyle Field. Now it's another year older for the Texas A&M defense, right? And big Albert Regis is still in the middle. The linebackers behind him. It's Torian York and it's Scooby Williams, who we found out later after the season that he was hurt early on in that Notre Dame game. What gives you confidence that this Aggie defense is able to prove the naysayers wrong and contain what could be the best running back tandem in the country?
I think it's the history of Mike Elko, right? Mike Elko has, throughout his career, especially the second year where the program has had some elite defenses, and he figures things out. That's the thing. This whole offseason was about correcting a lot of the mistakes that we saw last year. One of the issues, though, that we've seen early on in 8 quarters of football is some of the running ability that these teams have had. Now, you look at Utah State, they didn't really run the ball that well, but they did have that 30-yard run to start the second half. They had some little pocket runs. Can A&M's defense limit those pocket runs? And I think the reason I believe that they can is because of the man in charge in Coach Elko. That's the reason I have a little bit of faith. And also, I just think it's another year with a lot of the same personnel. I know the defensive line looks different, but the back half of that defense to me is a lot of the same faces or faces that we saw early on or coming back after injury.
If there were 3 things Aggies wanted to see in the offseason, I would probably say that one, and in no particular order or importance, anything like that, one would be the ability to stop the run on defense. 2 would be the ability to get after the quarterback on defense after they were held without sacks for so long. They didn't produce as many as we thought they would with a first-rounder and 2 second-round defensive linemen in 2024. They've shown that they can get after the quarterback against Utah State. Of course, it was Utah State. Cassius Howell had 3 sacks on 3 consecutive plays. Everyone clings to that, but they had 6 total in the game. The other thing would be on offense, the ability to create explosive plays in the passing game. Through 2 weeks, they've certainly shown they can do that. Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver have both been fantastic. Can't forget about Terry Bussey. But the guy getting them the football, there have been question marks surrounding him this week, although Mike Elko was emphatic on Saturday night. He was emphatic again on Monday. And then earlier today on ESPN's College Game Day, Pete Thamel reported that Marcel Reed was a full go in practice all week. What are you hearing about number 10 status ahead of this one, David?
I don't think I'm not worried about Marcel Reed's health at all. And by the way, it doesn't matter. The guy's a gamer. If he can go out there, he's going to go out there and give you the best. And he's your best chance to win, healthy or not. But I do believe everything that Billy has reported, everything that Pete Thamel's reported, that he's good to go. Coach Elko seems like a kind of guy that does not like to throw you curveballs in these press conferences. He tell you he's good. And I believe that to be the case. I think that's the added element of this game that we did not have last year. Although it was great to see Connor Wigman yesterday running so well and having a great game for the University of Houston against Colorado. That's good running. Marcel's an elite runner at the quarterback position. And as much as I want him to stay safe for the entire season and, avoid getting hit, he's got to be able to use those legs to make it confusing. And really what I would want to see is, all right, if you want to put a bunch of guys in the middle of the box and make A&M, have to pass the ball, well, those elite playmakers that you talked about now can burn them. what we saw last year was an inability, especially in that Notre Dame game. It was very apparent that those wide receivers could not get separation. I don't think the four wide receivers that they have out there at any given time or the whole crew is that same story, right? Like, I believe all these guys have the ability to get separation. So if they want to go man, Leonard Moore, Christian Gray want to go man on them. No problem. Terry Bussey or Ashton Duffel-Rome is going to be open. Or maybe Ruben Owens out of the backfield is going to make life hard. Or maybe Theo is going to make life hard. So I think there's so many different options. And that's what makes this team different than last year, where it felt like last year they had to grind away victories because of Le'Veon's ability to get those tough yards. I think this year you can rely on that, and you want to be able to do that, especially in the fourth quarter. But you also have the big play potential, and that changes the way the defense is going to have to cover you. And that's something I don't think that they had last year.
David, I know you are perched high atop the playing field here at Notre Dame Stadium.
Notre Dame Stadium?
Forgot the name of the most easy stadium name on the planet. Excuse me, but tell me what is it like behind you? What can you tell me about what's going on the field right now? Have warm-up started? Anything going on just yet?
Yeah, so I'm sorry that I'm making it look so casual, but yes, behind me, Notre Dame is on the field, is what I can see. I don't see Texas A&M out there just yet. I think it's probably a little bit too close to the camera, so I apologize about that. But yeah, right now Notre Dame seems to be on the field, and very few Aggies have hit the field.
Okay. What about the rest of the campus environment? Have you enjoyed your day in South Bend so far? I know you said you went to a tailgate. Did you eat anything good? Did you see any good sights, anything like that?
Yeah, so next time Olin tells you that all I eat is broccoli, have him tell you about last night's dinner, which included a hamburger and cheesy waffle fries that we all shared. Yeah, we're that kind of group. And then for lunch, before we left, we stopped at Papa Do's and had like 8 dinners at once. So, and today it was fried chicken at the tailgate.
Ooh.
So, and you asked this question, did I hit the gym? Brother, I was at the gym at 7 a.m. this morning. There was no doubt I was going to do that, especially with the way I've been eating. Yes, I was there. And OB came and joined me at 9 o'clock as I was finishing up. But he didn't join me to work out. He just said, I thought you'd still be here. And he walked out. That's exactly how that played out.
I was going to say you were a positive influence on Olin, and Lord knows he needs it. But, whatever. On your way
Did
out,
you see his form on the curls?
Yeah, I'm sure you had some tips for him. I texted him. I asked him if he was doing curls for the girls, and he left me on red. So please talk to him about that. I was very offended. You've got work to do, David. I know you're a busy man out there in South Bend. So on your way out, give me your X factor for this ball game and a score prediction as well.
All right. X factor is going to be Terry Bussey in this game, because I just do believe that, to me, an X factor is somebody you're not really expecting to like kind of have that play in the game that like opens everybody's eyes. Oh my goodness, I didn't expect this to happen. I think people now kind of expect for Le'Veon to be able to get his yards, for Favor and KC. I think it's going to be Terry Bussey. And all week long, I've been thinking A&M is going to lose a close one. But call me the maroon juice Kool-Aid drinker here. Maybe A&M. The score's going to be 27-24. And at first, I was thinking that was going to be Notre Dame that wins it. But let's flip that around. Let's go with the old flipperoo and give the Aggies the victory.
Wow. I know you took A&M in the points earlier in the week on Pick 6. So it's nice to know you're being an optimist today, David.
I'm being an optimist with the cameras on, and people said I was a traitor on Twitter for picking Notre Dame to win the game initially. But I'm telling you, like, I think my opinion changed when I saw the team coming in. Now, that doesn't necessarily equate to success, Richard. We all know that. But go watch that video. To me, there was just like they came to work, and there were some guys that were listening to music and jamming out, but they were getting in their zone. And not that I needed to see it, but that walk-in inspired me to say, you know what? It's a new day. And I'm hoping that new day starts tonight.
Awesome. The Aggies came here to work, and so did you. Thanks so much for making a few minutes for us here on the TexAgs Tailgate Show, David.
Love you guys. See you in a bit.
And of course, always keep Olin in check for us. That's David Nuno, the TexAgs Director of Content, on site in South Bend, Indiana. This is the TexAgs Tailgate Show presented by our friends at Duck Camp. Again, this is a road game, so there's nothing outside going on. There's a bye week next week, but this is your reminder and formal invitation to come and join us at the next physical TexAgs Tailgate. The address is 308 George Bush Drive. We will indeed be tailgating outside the TexAgs office ahead of kickoff against Auburn on September the 27th. In week one, we heard from a trio of vendors. You heard from La Casa Tequila, you heard from Catalyst Energy, and you heard from 1775. They'll all be back in 2 weeks from now. They'll be out having a good time hanging out. Be sure to come by. Now, the TexAgs Tailgate will begin 3 hours prior to kickoff. Now, we don't know just yet what time the Texas A&M Auburn game is going to kick. We know it's in that afternoon window. So if you're assuming it's a 2:30 kickoff, maybe it's on ABC, ranked versus ranked opponent. We'll see how that goes. We would get started at 11:30. So be sure to stop by for free drinks, good vibes. We'll have the biggest games of the day on TV for you. We've also got the air-conditioned bathrooms, which makes us the Buckies of TexAgs of tailgate bathrooms. And of course, you might see your TexAgs personalities. A couple weeks ago, Billy Lucci made an appearance on this actual show. It meant he was out and about schmoozing before walking over to Kyle. Bronny was here. Nuno was here. Luke Evangelist, I guess if you would consider him a personality as well, he was here. So TexAgs Tailgate, September 27th, ahead of the Auburn game here in College Station. Stop by, hang out. We'd love to see you and chat. Nick Savage is behind the glass pulling the strings for me today, the director and producer. And, sir, I believe it is time to get into our players to watch for this game, Mr. Nick. On Texas A&M, I went on the offensive side with the guy, Marcel Reed. I think he's a full go. There's no reason to be concerned that he's less than 100%. He has accounted for 8 total touchdowns without a turnover through 2 games. Now, he did leave that Utah State game with about 4 minutes left in the third quarter with an apparent injury. Nothing to worry about, according to Mike Elko and program insiders and, of course, national media. He has accounted for 509 passing yards and 105 rushing yards. He's the guy to watch. He's the guy who has facilitated this offensive renaissance we've seen from Colin Klein and company. So he's going to have another big game on the road, just like he did in week 3 last year, his first career start, engineered a victory over Florida in the Swamp. That ended a dubious streak, looking to end another dubious streak tonight. Marcel Reed, keep an eye on him. On defense, I went with Scooby Williams, right? I could have gone with Torian York, the captain on defense. I could have gone with Albert Regis, the defensive tackle in the middle there. And the reason I went with one of those 3 is because I think the key to winning this ball game is going to be stopping the run. We've heard a lot about what Jeremiah Love can do. We've heard a lot about what Jadarian Price can do. We've heard a lot about what C.J. Carr can do with his legs as well. Scooby Williams has 9 total tackles on the year, 3 solo stops, 2.5 TFLs, 1 sack, and 1 forced fumble. He also could have gone with Cassius Howe for what they can do in the pass rush, put pressure on the ground game. But Scooby Williams, I'm going to take number 0 to have a big game. Nick, anybody on offense or defense in maroon and white that I should have an eye on that I didn't name here?
I'd go on offense. Well, first of all, to follow up on what you said about Marcel, I think you mentioned the 0 turnovers. I think going on the road in a big game like this, you got to keep that number at 0. Turnovers, at least for the road team, can lead to things getting sideways quickly. So if they keep that turnover number as an offense as a whole, it's not just on Marcel, but as an offense as a whole, I think the Aggies will be in a good spot. But I'll go KC Concepcion just because he's been so explosive in special teams and as a pass catcher too. So if he can have another impactful game, I think the Aggies will be in a good spot at the end. And defensively, I feel like this is the most obvious choice, but we'll go Cassius Howe. Can he follow up on his 3-sack performance against Utah State? I don't think he's going to get 3 in a row again, but can he impact the game on the defensive line, and especially in the run defense with the 2 running backs that Notre Dame's going to bring to the table, which I know for you might be a player to watch for the Irish.
Oh, yeah. A back-to-back sack tricks would be quite the feat if Cassius Howe could pull that off. A little bit more on Mr. Howe a little later on when we get to our predictions. On the Notre Dame side, Nick teased it. Absolutely going to highlight Jeremiah Love. In their opener against Miami, it was a 27-24 loss. He only carried the ball 10 times, 33 yards, did not score. Last year, he rushed for over 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns in 16 games. He was really a catalyst for that offense. It was the national runner-up a year ago. It's him and Jadarian Price. I really think that's what Mike Denbrock's going to lean on. So can the Aggies bottle him up? If they can't, and again, he's running behind a line that returns 4 of the 5 starters from a year ago. If they can't bottle up Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love, it could be a long night for the Aggies. On defense, we've heard so much about those 2 corners, Leonard Moore and Christian Gray. They love to play man coverage. It's only their second game under defensive coordinator Chris Ash, so I'm going to highlight Mr. Moore. 3 tackles, 1 stop against Miami last year. He had 48 tackles, 2 TFLs, 2 forced fumbles, 11 PBUs, and 2 picks. He's a good guy on the island, going to be matching up with KC, Mario. Maybe he'll get on an Amari Niblack if we put him out wide, anything like that. So we'll see if the Aggies test Leonard Moore on the island. Nick, anybody in navy and gold, blue and gold, navy and gold? I forget what their official colors are. I'll just call them the Golden Domers. How's that?
Yeah, that'll work. I'll go on offense. I'll go CJ Carr. We'll see how the freshman quarterback plays. I wish we could say it's his first big game, but he played, a ranked Miami team on the road in his first start. So we can't really say that. So I think he's, not afraid to rise to the moment or the occasion or anything like that. But I'll go CJ Carr on offense. And I think you hit the nail on the head on the defense. That secondary is going to be the thing to watch for the Fighting Irish, especially with Concepcion, Craver, Bussy, and whoever else you want to throw in there, hoping to take some big shots and get involved in the pass game for Texas A&M.
Now, if you're wanting to highlight your own players to watch, now's a perfect time to remind you that you can do so with Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best site to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs. Use code TexAgs when you sign up and receive a guaranteed $50 when you play your first $5 in lineup. Luke Evangelist kind of slacking today. That's why Nick's here. He usually gives you your Prize Pick updates on which Texas A&M player squares you can choose from. So I've got a list of them here. You can take Le'Veon's longest rush. That's currently set at 14.5 yards. Rush attempts, 9.5. I bet you he goes over. Rush yards, 49.5. And then rushing and receiving touchdowns at a half. If the Aggies are going to win, I think Le'Veon Moss is probably going to have 1 touchdown. That's just something to keep in mind. For the QB, Marcel Reed, you can take interceptions currently set at a half. Longest completion, 39.5 yards. That just shows you how explosive the Aggies receivers have been, that line is set so high. They've got Marcel's longest rush at 14.5 yards, his pass attempts at 26.5, pass completions at 15.5, and passing touchdowns at a half. He's also got pass and rush yards, his total at 232.5, his rush attempts at 11, rushing yards at 34.5, and then rushing and receiving touchdowns, Nick Savage, at a half. That would be interesting if they did like a Philly special kind of thing and they threw a pass to number 10. That'd be pretty sick. On the receiving end, Mario Craver, you can take his longest reception at 22.5, his receiving yards at 52.5. Receptions is an even 4 right now. Rushing and receiving touchdowns for number 1 is currently set at a half. He's had at least 1 score in each of his first 2 games as an Aggie. For the tight end, you've got Nate Borkacher. His rushing and receiving touchdown total is currently set at a half. Ruben Owens, same thing. KC Concepcion, his longest receptions currently set at 20.5, receiving yards at 43.5. And when it comes to the kicker, Jared Zirkle, they're giving him kicking points at 5.5. You can pick more or less on all of those. Again, that's all on Prize Picks, the best site to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/TexAgs now, and you get $50 when you sign up and play your first $5 in lineups. Nick, let's go ahead and check in on games around the country. Quite a few of them are in the books, and another slate of games is currently wrapping up. Looking at games that have already finished, I highlighted a couple of Big 12 games, Colorado and Houston. The Cougs got the better of Dion and company 36-20 last night, and then Arizona defeated K-State. Dude, the Big 12 might be the most entertaining, most enjoyable league to watch right now. In that UH game, former A&M QB Connor Wigman had quite the day, 15 of 24 for 222 yards through the air, but he really got it done with his legs, 83 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, including one in which he duked out 2 different defenders. And if you haven't heard the name Dean Connors by now, number 44, the Houston tailback, is an absolute bowling ball of a player. He's so fun to watch. The grit's incredible. 22 carries, 89 yards and a touchdown in that win down in Houston last night. And then the other end, man, K-State came into the year 17th in the preseason. They're now 0-2 in Big 12 play with a loss to a service academy, and they struggled with North Dakota in their only win. Chris Kleiman looks like he's out. Could they turn to prodigal son Colin Klein to be the guy that replaces him? We'll see. A lot of that's going to be dependent on how the Texas A&M offense does throughout the year. Earlier today, I believe the game of the day was in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was former Texas A&M quarterback, another one of them to go along with Connor Wigman, Haynes King, engineering the upset of number 12 Clemson, 24-21 Rambling Wreck. GT's now 3-0. It was Aiden Burr's 55-yard field goal as time expired that got them the win. Nick, I don't know if you paid attention to that game, but the fire drill to get the kicking unit on the field was almost as impressive as the kick itself.
Absolutely. Yeah, I watched. I was quad boxing it for the first half of most of these games in the early window, but once it was clear that Clemson Georgia Tech was going to be the premier game to watch, I soloed in on that one. And it's so fun to watch Haynes King. He's so tough. He's a running back that plays quarterback. He's not afraid to just take shot after shot, gets up, and just keeps running it. And like you mentioned Philly special earlier, they ran one and it worked.
For a 2-point play.
Yep. And they ended up winning that game. So Clemson eliminated from the playoffs.
Oh, absolutely. They've got 2 losses already.
Yeah, they're done.
They might be dead in the water right now. Just a little bit more on Haynes King. He was 19 of 27 for 216 yards through the air, but he really did it with his legs. 25 rushes, 103 yards, and a score. Fantastic. The other thing to highlight in that game, turnovers. As it so often does, it decided that one. Clemson turned the ball over twice. Georgia Tech did not. And that's impressive because Georgia Tech had turned the ball over 5 times through their first 2 games.
Road team turning the ball over. Can't do it.
Yep, that's something you can apply to this A&M game. Elsewhere in the SEC in the early window, Alabama beat Wisconsin 38-14. Not too impressive of a margin of victory, but the Tide were in control the entire time. Ryan Williams, 5 receptions for 162 receiving yards, 2 scores, 2 long scores. And then Ty Simpson, 24 for 29, 382 yards and 4 tutties. Fantastic day for the signal caller for the Crimson Tide. Alabama's idle next week. They will play Georgia on September 27th. Missouri handled Louisiana with ease, 52-14. Now the running back Ahmad Hardy is the story of the day there. 22 carries, 250 yards, Nick Savage. That's an average of 11.4 per carry, 3 touchdowns. Missouri is averaging over 50 points per game. A&M will go to Columbia in November. And then the other game I've got highlighted is Auburn took down South Alabama 31-15. The curious thing about this one is that Hugh Freeze and Auburn seemed content to just let Jackson Arnold run the ball on 4th and 1 against the team that you should be able to maul and get your running backs easy touches. Arnold was good again. He was 13 of 24 passing, 1 passing touchdown, no picks. He carried it 10 times for 50 yards and 2 scores. Auburn comes to Kyle Field on September the 27th. Looks like the Tigers and War Eagle are going to be undefeated. Games in progress and coming up. I think the game everybody's got an eye on and one that I can't wait to watch finish. It's Tennessee and Georgia at Neyland Stadium. The 15th ranked Vols are up 28-27. Georgia has the ball. They're currently driving early in the 4th quarter. They've got it at the Tennessee 44. Joey Aguilar's been a heck of a story. Seems like the Vols got the better end of that Nico trade. He completed his first 14 passes as the Vols scored 21 points in the first quarter before stalling out. We'll see how that one goes as it continues. In Austin, Texas is beating UTEP 17-3 right now. They haven't been that impressive. Arch Manning is 6 for 17, 77 yards, no touchdowns, and an interception, though he does have 2 rushing touchdowns for the Longhorns. Wonder what faces he's making in this one. The game that everybody's got their eye on elsewhere in the Sunshine States, currently in a weather delay, although Miami is up 14-3 on USF. We'll see if Alex Golesh and the Bulls can pull something out and keep that Cinderella story going. In the SEC this evening, opposite Texas A&M, you've got Arkansas at number 17, Ole Miss. The Rebels are a 3.5-point favorite there. Austin Simmons, better quarterback than Taylon Green? I think not, especially with the health. You don't know what Ole Miss's signal caller is going to look like. The Razorbacks could pull off the upset in Oxford. Then you've got Florida going down to LSU. The Bayou Bengals 6.5-point favorites. I like Brian Kelly and company to roll in that one. And then Vanderbilt goes to Columbia, South Carolina. The Gamecocks, the 11th ranked Gamecocks, 2.5-point favorites. Shane Beamer and company have not looked overly impressive thus far this year. Nick, on the way out, it's time to do some predictions. Of course, kickoff between Texas A&M and Notre Dame coming up in just over an hour. I believe it's going to be at 6:44 Central Time. You can find that game on NBC. It's going to be nationally televised. You're getting the Sunday Night Football treatment on a Saturday. Enjoy, Ags. So make sure you tune into that one. Obviously, that's why you're here. Before you do, though, we've got some predictions for you. Last week, we had a really, really good week, Nick. We went 4-1 on our 5 predictions. We're currently 5-3 on the year with a couple of them still pending. Remember, I took Texas A&M in week 1 to win at least 9 games. We take a huge step towards that total if the Ags can win this one tonight. Last week, I took Le'Veon to have a rushing touchdown. He got one in the second quarter. I had Marcel Reed to play turnover free. That was correct, although Miles O'Neill threw an interception in the third quarter. Cassius Howell, I had him getting home for a sack. Boy, did that one pay off back-to-back times. And then, of course, I did cheat to pad the stats. I took the Aggies to win and cover. Utah State is also the Aggies, and they did cover what was a pretty big line. The one we did not get was the one I let Luke Evangelist pick, and that's on me. Hand up, Nick. Hand up. I let him take it. He said Texas A&M was going to score 50 points. They did not. We were looking good for a while. As I said last week, I'm going to wear the loss, not Luke. That's just bad leadership, putting the guy in a bad position. So that's why we were 4-1 instead of a perfect 5-0. Notre Dame predictions. Here's what I've got for you. 1, I'm going to take Marcel Reed to again play turnover-free football. Nick and I were chatting about it just a moment ago about Clemson, Georgia Tech. Road team, you cannot afford to go into a hostile environment and turn the ball over. Starts and ends with number 10. Can't give away free possessions. 2, I'm actually going to go on the other end. Jeremiah Love is going to score a rushing touchdown tonight. Don't fret. He's just super good. It's going to be really hard to contain him for all 60 minutes. I'll also say 3, CJ Carr, the youngster playing in yet another big game. I think he's going to turn it over at least twice. That would be huge for the Aggies. They haven't been too good. They haven't been too opportunistic with the takeaways early on in the season. We'll see if they can change those fortunes today. 4, Cassius Howell's going to come up with 2 sacks again this week. I took him to have 1 last week, pushing my luck, going with 2 this week. Get it done for me, number 9. And then 5, for the first time since November of 2014, Texas A&M is going to defeat a ranked opponent on the road. Nick Savage, you can book it. Any predictions have for us on the way out?
That would be fantastic. Any predictions? Let's see. I'll go with Le'Veon Moss and Reuben Owens running back tandem. They will be the better running back duo in this game as opposed to Jeremiah Love and Price. So they're going to be the storyline going out of it. I like all your predictions. It's like we talked about every single point pretty much leading up to it. So, hey, there's clearly a formula for A&M to win this game. So let's hope you go perfect 5 for 5 this week.
Oh, I need it, man. I need it. I could I could go 1-4 as long as the one I get is 0.5. Yeah. Exactly.
Yep.
Nick, man, thanks so much for sitting in the director's chair and helping produce this one. Thanks to David Nuno for joining us from South Bend, Indiana. Our thanks to Duck Camp for presenting this edition of the TexAgs Tailgate. And, of course, thanks to you for tuning in to our 3rd show of the year. Keep it locked on TexAgs. We've got all your in-game. We've got all your post-game coverage. We'll be back in this studio for the post-game wrap a little bit later. We'll see you in just a bit, and beat the hell out of Notre Dame.